There's something about the way Samantha looks at Jason that makes me think he's a superhero. She liked fancy cars and big parties. However, I saw a different side of her when things began to go wrong. She called me one day with a scared, shaky voice. She begged, "Can we talk?" Her words made my heart hurt because I could hear how sad she was. I never thought I'd see her like this, without her smile and sparkle. I felt like I was being pulled in two different ways. Should I help her or remember how she picked Jason for his money? I didn't know what to do next, and the weight of that decision felt heavy on my shoulders. How could I've known that meeting Samantha would turn my world upside down? I was hooked as soon as I saw her. Her hair danced in the light, and her eyes sparkled with danger. It was impossible to ignore Samantha. When she walked into the cafe, my heart raced. She smiled at me, and I thought, this is someone special. Our first chat felt exciting. We laughed and shared stories like old friends. I felt recognized and appreciated, something I hadn't felt in ages. But as we talked, I felt something lurking. She was strong and knew her worth, while I felt like I was just a fan in her story. I was falling for her hard, but I'd no idea how much it would hurt. Days turned into a blur of coffee dates and stolen looks. I didn't see her as just a pretty face anymore. I wanted her in my life. Then, I learned about Jason, her boyfriend. He was everything I wasn't: rich, strong, and full of confidence. It hit me like a punch in the gut. Watching her fall for him was torture. I felt deceived, like I was just a shadow in her life. I wanted to shout, "You're making a mistake." But all I could do was smile and hide my hurt. Meeting Samantha changed everything, but that change came at a high price. One day, I watched as she laughed at something Jason said, her eyes shining. I clenched my hands under the table. Why him? I mumbled to myself, feeling the sting of jealousy. "Hey, are you okay?" a friend asked, noticing my battle. "Yeah, just fine," I lied, faking a smile. Inside, my heart was breaking. I wanted to be the one making her laugh, not him. As I sat across from Samantha, a spark crackled in the air. I felt drawn to her, the kind of pull that made my heart race. It was like a fire sparking inside me, and I hadn't expected it at all. Our first views had transformed into something electrifying, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were meant to connect. Every time our eyes met, a thrill shot through me. We tossed playful jabs back and forth, laughter ringing in the air, turning the space between us into a charged battlefield of feelings. It was fun, but I could feel something deeper lurking beneath the surface, hidden feelings we both wanted to keep under wraps. But then I remembered Jason. He was still in the picture, and I felt like I was stepping into forbidden ground. It hurt to think about it. She'd picked him, a man with money, over what could be real. Still, when I looked at her, that pain faded, and joy took over. Each time we met, it felt like a high-stakes game. I wanted to be closer to her, but the fear of getting caught loomed over me. The attraction was exciting, yet dangerous. I was stuck in a storm of hope and fear, unsure of where it would lead us. "Why do you keep looking at me like that?" Samantha asked, her voice teasing but with an edge of gravity. "Maybe because I can't help it," I answered, my heart pounding. "What are we doing here, really?" Her smile faltered, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of worry. "This isn't right," she said, biting her lip. "But I can't resist you." Jason's wealth was enormous, built a big company with smart choices and hard work. When I first heard about it, I couldn't believe it. It felt like a fairy tale, but it was real. Jason lived in a big mansion, drove fancy cars, and flew all over the world. Samantha was fascinated by it all. She picked him, not just for love, but for the life he could give her. Watching them together hurt. I felt angry and deceived. How could she choose money over real love? It was tough to see her enjoy all that comfort while I was left feeling small and lost. My own relationships turned into a messy puzzle. I wanted her to be happy, but I also felt rage at her decisions. Every time I saw them, that pain in my chest returned. Samantha seemed drunk on Jason's money. I wanted to scream that love shouldn't be about how rich someone is, but my hurt made me quiet. Then everything changed. Jason's business started to fall apart. I began to wonder if Samantha made a mistake. I could hear the worry in her voice during those phone calls. Maybe she'd finally see that love is more valuable than cash. "Do you even care about me?" I heard her ask once, and my heart sank. I thought you were happy, Jason answered, his tone icy. She didn't answer. I could sense doubt creeping in. As their world crumbled, I hoped she'd understand true love matters more than just money. I tried to shake the thought from my head, but the day Samantha announced her engagement to Jason hit me hard. It felt like a punch in the gut. Her voice was bright and happy as she shared the news. It was like she was waging war on my heart. The proposal felt like a huge billboard reminding me of what I lost. I fought to breathe. It felt like betrayal was sitting heavy in my chest. Samantha and I'd something real, something special. But now she was picking a life filled with money and fancy things. Did she think that would make her happy? Was love not enough for her? I felt like a fool for thinking she might pick me. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Jason was everything I wasn't: rich, charming, and perfect in every way. I watched Samantha glow under his care, and it hurt so much. I wanted to yell at her, to tell her she was making a big mistake. Instead, I forced a smile and praised her through clenched teeth. Inside, I was screaming. I felt abandoned and cheated. Samantha picked Jason, and in that moment, I knew I'd lost her forever. As I walked away, I felt like I'd never be the same. My heart was in pieces, and all I could do was stand in the ashes of what used to be. For months, I watched Samantha and Jason from a distance. It felt like I was a ghost, floating around their beautiful life. They seemed so happy, but inside, my heart was breaking. I could see the smiles on Samantha's face, but there was a huge wall between us. I was stuck in a storm of feelings. Part of me wanted her to be happy, but another part wished she'd remember what we once had. I recalled our special times together. They rang in my mind like a song I couldn't forget. Each memory felt like a shadow, reminding me of our lost link. I felt trapped, torn between wanting her joy and hoping she'd see how much I cared. Every time I spotted them together, a fight raged inside me. I admired her strength, but jealousy clawed at my heart. Did she pick money over true love? I felt stupid, standing there while she built her life with Jason. Then, cracks began to show in their perfect world. I felt a mix of relief and guilt. Part of me wanted to shout, "Hey, remember us?" But fear of rejection held me back. My secret feelings for her only deepened my pain. Watching her stumble would be hard, yet a small part of me hoped she'd find where real love awaited. One day, I saw them at the park. Jason laughed loudly, but Samantha's smile looked forced. I felt a rush of hope. Maybe she was sad. I took a big breath and approached her. "Samantha," I called, my heart racing. She turned, surprise flashing in her eyes. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice sharp. "I just wanted to see how you were doing," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "You don't look happy." She paused, her expression shifting. "It's complicated," she said, looking at Jason, who was oblivious on a nearby bench. "Sometimes you have to choose what really matters," I pushed, desperation creeping into my tone. Samantha looked at me, her eyes searching mine. "What do you mean?" My heart pounded. "You deserve more than just a pretty life. You deserve love." In that moment, I could see the wall between us start to crack. But just as quickly, she turned away. "I have to go," she said, leaving me standing there, hope and sorrow tangled together. As I sat in the back of the church, my heart pounded. I was about to see Samantha make the biggest mistake of her life. The music played softly, but it felt heavy in my chest. She looked amazing, walking down the aisle with a smile that hid the sadness inside her. I could feel it. Every step she took pulled her away from true love and closer to a life of money. Jason stood at the altar, his fancy suit shining bright, but I knew he was more show than substance. Did Samantha really think cash could buy happiness? As I watched them exchange vows, my heart broke into pieces. I wanted to jump up and yell, "This is wrong." But I couldn't. I just sat there, frozen in sorrow. The ceremony went on, filled with laughing and cheers, but all I felt was emptiness. Samantha was trading her heart for wealth, and it tore me apart. With every promise they made, I pictured the cracks that would soon show. The love we once had faded away, replaced by a fake life that I knew would fall apart. As they sealed their vows with a kiss, I knew this was only the start of Samantha's sadness. I couldn't stop thinking, would she ever see what she was losing? Suddenly, I heard Jason say, "You'll never have to worry again, Sam. I'll take care of everything." His voice dripped with false charm. I clenched my fists, wanting to scream. But at what cost? Samantha smiled, but I saw the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. She was caught in his web of greed. I stood up, ready to shout. I couldn't let her walk into this trap. But then I paused. Would she even listen? As they turned to face the crowd, I saw her glance my way. For a moment, our eyes locked. I saw a spark of confusion. Then she looked back at Jason, and the smile returned. It felt like a knife to my heart. I watched as they walked back down the aisle, hand in hand, while I stayed behind, crushed and alone. Would she ever understand what she'd given up? Even though Samantha and Jason smiled at each other, I could see trouble building underneath. Jason was starting to act like he was in charge, making choices without even asking Samantha what she thought. It felt like he was trying to see how far he could push her, and I noticed those warning signs. Their relationship didn't feel right. Samantha, who used to be so strong, seemed to depend on Jason for money. That made everything tense between them. What was meant to be love started to feel more like a cage. As days went by, I saw Samantha struggle. She often cried late at night, torn between wanting things to be okay and knowing they were falling apart. I could tell she didn't trust Jason anymore. Doubts filled her thoughts, and it hurt to see the sadness in her eyes. Jason began to expect more from her, asking her to cut off friends, even me. The air felt thick with stress as Samantha fought to find herself again. I wanted to reach out and help her, but I was scared of getting caught in their mess. When Jason's business fell apart, I felt the ground shake. I watched from afar as everything Samantha had picked turned to chaos. The wealth she'd chased became a nightmare. Anger bubbled up inside me. Did she really think money could replace love? Now, her choice was bothering her. Samantha called me, her voice shaky and scared. "Please, you have to help me," she cried. I heard her tears through the phone. But Jason was losing everything, and I didn't want to feel happy about her pain. Yet, deep down, I wondered if this was how the world balanced things out. She'd picked his wealth over our bond, and now she was paying for it. Listening to her, my heart twisted. I still cared for her, even after everything. I wanted to reach out, to tell her it would be okay, but betrayal clouded my thoughts. How could she come back to me after picking him? Days turned into weeks of waiting. I fought with my thoughts. Should I help her, or guard my heart? The more I thought, the clearer it became she needed someone. But was I ready to jump back in? The weight of her decisions hung heavy, and I knew whatever happened next would change everything for us. Then one day, I picked up the phone. "Samantha, what do you want from me?" I said, my voice cold. "Help me," she begged. "I made a mistake." "You chose him," I shot back. "Why should I help you now?" Silence fell, but I could hear her breath hitch. "Because I love you," she whispered. Her words hit hard. "You had your chance," I answered, my heart racing. But even as I said it, I felt the pull. The evil of her greed had trapped us both, but I couldn't just walk away. "Please," she cried again. "I need you." I took a deep breath, torn. Was this love or just desperation? The darkness was closing in, and I had to decide help her and risk my heart, or let her drown in her choices. The phone shook in my hand. The choice would shape our fate. Samantha's voice wobbled on the phone, filled with a panicked tone that cut through my anger like a sharp knife. "I messed up," she whispered, her words heavy with sorrow. I could feel her pain even from miles away. She talked about how she begged for Jason and thought that money would make her happy. But now, all she felt was a deep void. "Please, I need you," she begged, laying bare her vulnerability. Hearing her like this tugged at my heart. Love's twists and turns twisted around us, and I realized she was turning to me, the one she'd left behind. Her heart-wrenching words made me ache, but the fading trust between us loomed over me like a dark cloud. "I don't know if I can believe you," I said, my voice steady but cold. Doubts filled my mind. Was she really back because she loved me, or was I just a backup plan in her messed-up life? I could feel her desperation pulling at my heart, making it hard to think straight. "Let's try again," she pushed, her voice pleading. I paused. The idea of us getting back together scared me. How could we fix what was already broken? Still, a tiny part of me wondered if she was serious. Her pain felt real, but so did my fear of falling back into deception. I was stuck between my lingering anger and a small spark of hope she'd sparked. Could I really take her back? How could I ignore the way her words tugged at me, echoing in my mind long after we talked? Samantha's voice shook as she spoke, her feelings spilling out. I could feel the weight of our past pushing on us like a heavy blanket. She admitted her mistakes, her eyes looking for a way to rebuild trust. "Please, I need your help," she said, despair in her voice. It hit a chord deep inside me. This was a moment to understand our messed-up relationship. I could see the walls between us, made from old hurts and misunderstandings. I wanted to be there for her, but the fear of opening up again held me back. As I listened, I felt her anxiety. She was letting go of the fake life of money and status, understanding that those things couldn't fill the emptiness inside her. But could I truly forgive her for what happened before? Personal growth seemed close, but the fear of being hurt again hung over me. Yet, I couldn't help but be drawn to her. I wanted to break down the walls of confusion that stood between us. Our lives were tangled together, and a spark of hope flickered in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, we could work through this complicated mess together. "I don't know if I can trust you," I said, my voice steady but unsure. "I'll prove it to you," she answered, determination shining in her eyes. The air crackled with tension as Samantha and I reunited. I felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. Every time she smiled, it was like a spark sparking something deep inside me. But it also reminded me of the hurt she caused. "How have you been?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Samantha sighed, her eyes downcast. "It's been tough. Jason. He's not what I thought." Her words hit me hard. My heart raced. Was she still tangled up with him? "So, you just came back to me now?" I shot back, rage bubbling beneath the surface. She looked hurt. "No, I came back because I need someone who understands me." Understand? Or just someone to lean on when things get rough. I couldn't help but push her. "I'm not using you," she snapped, her voice sharp. But I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. We sat in quiet, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. I wanted to comfort her, but the memories of deception clawed at me. I want to feel safe again," she revealed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Safe? You made me feel like a fool." I blurted out. Her laughter, once a sweet sound, felt heavy now. "I messed up, okay. But I need you back in my life." I wanted to scream, to pull away, but there was a part of me that wanted to hold her close. "Why should I trust you again?" "Because I'm trying to change," she begged, her eyes shining with unshed tears. But doubt gnawed at me. Was she here for love, or was I just a backup? As we talked, the storm inside me grew. I was caught in a storm of emotions, longing, anger, and fear. "Let's be honest," I said, my voice firm. "If you want me back, you have to show me you mean it." She nodded, determination in her eyes. "I will, I promise." The days after our big fight felt strange. Samantha was different now, and I could feel it. Her happy laughing was gone, replaced by a heavy quiet. It was clear she was on a trip to find herself again. And it showed in her eyes. She was thinking hard about her decisions and what really made her happy. When we hung out, I noticed how her thinking had changed. She talked about getting better after tough times, sharing how lost she felt when Jason's world fell apart. It was like she was slowly revealing her past, showing me her hurt from being let down. I felt sorry for her, but I also worried. Could she be the same woman I once loved? Or was this just her trying to heal after everything went wrong? Now, relationships were a tough problem for her. She wanted to stand strong, and I admired her for trying to rise above the hurt. But I couldn't shake the feeling that her past still haunted her. I wanted to believe in her change, but doubt kept creeping in like a shadow. Every time we talked, the air was thick with anxiety. We opened up about our goals and fears, and I caught glimpses of her true self. I wanted to help her mend, but my own sadness was heavy too. In those moments, I understood love wasn't simple. We were both looking for a way forward, but could we really move on together? "Do you really think you can leave Jason behind?" I asked one day, my voice sharp. She looked at me, pain written on her face. "I have to try. I can't let his choices define me anymore." "Words are easy, Sam." I shot back, anger bubbling in my chest. "What if you're just fooling yourself?" "I'm not. I want to change," she snapped, her eyes burning. Was this love? Or was I just a piece in Samantha's game? I stared at her, my heart racing. Love and deception twisted together like a storm. Sure, she looked fragile. But were her tears real? Or was I just an escape from her messy life with Jason? Every second felt like a test of my worth. I wanted to believe in us, but questions slipped in like shadows. Was I just her backup plan? The weight of our decisions hung over me like a dark cloud. I craved real love. But could I trust someone whose past was full of lies? Samantha said she wanted to heal. But how could I forget the hurt? My heart thumped loudly as I thought about our twisted relationship. Could we really move forward after everything that happened? Each time she leaned on me, I felt a tug of hope mixed with fear. I wanted a future with her, but a voice in my head whispered that I was just her safety net. Our past pushed down on me like a heavy stone. I needed answers. If this was love, it had to be stronger than lies. Otherwise, what was the point? Are you really in this for us, or just for yourself? I shot at her one day, irritation bubbling. I want to change, I swear. She answered, her eyes wide. Then show it. Show me it's real. I demanded, my heart beating. As I stood at my door, my stomach felt like a tight knot. This wasn't just about Samantha anymore, it was about getting back my own worth. I was ready to face Jason, the man who'd hurt us both. Confronting him was a must. I couldn't let him control me any longer. When Jason showed up, his anger hit me like a punch. "Stay away from her," he yelled, and I saw the fear in his eyes. He was losing it, and I felt a rush of bravery. "Why should I? You broke her heart." My words cut through the tense air. His face twisted in rage. He tried to scare me, but I stood my ground. I remembered how he'd used his money to control Samantha. How he'd twisted her feelings. In that moment, I understood I wasn't just fighting for my spot in her life. I was fighting for her freedom too. We threw angry words back and forth, and I could see the cracks in his tough guy act. I could almost taste his fear. Jason was falling apart, and I was ready to show Samantha who he really was. Not the fake nice guy he claimed to be. Finally, he stormed off, and I felt lighter, almost free. I knew this was just the start. I'd to protect Samantha and myself from the chaos he brought into our lives. The fight was on, and I wouldn't back down. I thought I'd some control when I faced Jason. But that was just the start of the power struggles. Samantha and I were stuck in a storm of tug-of-war. One moment she was with me, the next she flipped to Jason. It felt like a game, and I was losing. "Why can't you just choose?" I shouted one day, anger boiling over. "I don't know. It's not that simple." She cried back, her eyes moving away. Trust was slipping through our fingers like sand, and I wondered if I could ever set clear limits again. Every moment was a fight. I fought to remind myself that I was worth more than being her second pick. Jealousy twisted in my gut, and I looked for ways to cope. But it was hard when she kept pulling me in. Then everything flipped. Suddenly, I'd to be strong. The one holding her up while she leaned on me. "I need you," she said, her voice shaking. But I could feel the weight of communication hurdles pushing us apart. "We can't keep doing this," I said, trying to find a way out of the mess. Betrayal darkened everything, and the heaviness of it all hung in the air. I wanted to help her heal, but a chill ran through me. What if I lost myself in the process? Love collided with the need for security. I wanted her back, but trust was a fragile thing. "Can I really count on you?" I asked, my heart racing. "I promise I'll try," she whispered, but the words felt empty. I clung to my mending journey, knowing I'd to protect my heart. I needed to find a way to help her without losing myself. The moment I realized I was in a dangerous game, my heart raced. Fear and adrenaline rushed through me. Samantha's return flipped my world upside down. Emotions I thought I'd hidden clawed their way back to the surface. It felt like I was trapped in a power struggle where love and greed were fighting for control. Samantha looked weak, but I could see something dark hiding behind her tears. Did she really want me back, or was she just trying to escape her messy life with Jason? Doubt churned in my stomach. Could I trust her? I made risky choices, jumping into a relationship that felt like a wild roller coaster. One moment we were laughing, and the next, deception hit me like a punch to the gut. Jason's anger simmered just beneath the surface, a steady reminder of the chaos around us. I could see the anger flash in his eyes whenever he thought about Samantha and me. Every meeting felt like a tense game of chess, where one wrong move could ruin everything. I was tangled in doubt, and the stakes kept climbing higher. This dangerous game was no longer just about love, it was about life. In this world, greed overshadowed real relationships. I had to make smart choices, knowing one wrong step could drag me back into the heartbreak I'd worked so hard to escape. "Do you really care about me?" I asked Samantha one night, my voice shaky. "Of course I do," she answered, but her eyes darted away. That made my heart race even faster. I could feel Jason's presence lurking at the edge of my thoughts. "Stay away from her," he told me one day, his voice low and dangerous. "Or what?" I shot back, my bravery surprising even me. Every moment was a fight, and I was determined to come out on top. I just hoped I wouldn't lose myself in the process. I hoped things would calm down, but threats from Megan hung over us like storm clouds. Her jealousy was thick in the air. She hated that Samantha was with me, especially after Jason's empire fell. I realized Megan was out for payback. She wanted to hurt us both, and her rage only made things worse. Megan started spreading nasty stories about us. She claimed I was just using Samantha, changing everything to fit her crazy ideas. I talked to Samantha about it, but Megan's grip was strong. I could see doubt coming into Samantha's eyes, and it crushed me. Megan's betrayal hit hard. She was meant to be a friend, but instead, she was trying to ruin Samantha's happiness. How could someone be so cruel? It was like she liked causing chaos, loving her role as the villain. Every day, her threats weighed on me. I got creepy messages telling me to stay away from Samantha, or I'd regret it. I refused to let Megan run our lives, but fear gnawed at me. I worried her obsession with Jason and her need for payback would destroy what I was building with Samantha. The rush was on, and I knew I'd to do something before it was too late. "Stay away from her." One message read, the words cold and sharp. "Why are you doing this?" I yelled into the empty room, feeling the panic rise. Megan was persistent. I'd to protect Samantha from her toxic love and trickery. It was a race against time, and I wouldn't let Megan win. I sat in my living room, the dim light creating shadows that felt heavy on my chest. Trust issues hit me hard, and I didn't see them coming. Samantha was back, but everything felt shaky, like a house of cards ready to fall. Every time she smiled, I remembered the hurt she caused. Could I believe her when she said she wanted me back? Our talks were filled with awkward silences. I wanted to ask about Jason, about her feelings, about everything that happened, but fear gripped me. What if she just laughed it off again? What if I was just her second choice? As we tried to rebuild trust, I felt the anxiety rise. She wanted to share her pain, but I found it hard to open up. I felt betrayed, not just by her past actions but by my own thoughts of forgiveness. Her past loomed over us, a dark cloud. Every time she looked at me, I wanted to shut down, to protect myself from more hurt. But deep inside, I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe we could solve this mess. Letting go of the past was tough, but I wanted a chance to start fresh. "Can we really do this?" I asked, my voice shaky. "I want to try," she answered, her eyes searching mine. "Do you mean it?" I pressed, my heart racing. "Yes, I messed up, but I'm here now." "I want you," she urged, her voice firm. I felt a flicker of hope, but doubt remained. What if her words were just empty promises? I took a deep breath. "Then let's start over. No secrets this time." She nodded, but the stress still hung in the air. Could we break down these walls? I wanted to think we could find our way back to each other. But trust was a fragile thing. Each moment was a test, and I wasn't sure if we'd pass. Trust felt like a fragile rope, and just when I thought we might find our way, my phone buzzed with a surprise call. I looked at the screen. It was Samantha. My heart raced. I almost didn't answer, but interest got the better of me. "I need you," she said, her voice shaky. I could hear the storm in her words, fear, hope, and a hint of shame. I clenched my fists, remembering how she'd picked Jason over me. She'd walked away, leaving me feeling crushed. Now she was back, asking for help. Why now? I messed up, she continued, her voice cracking. Jason's world fell apart. I thought I'd be happy, but I lost everything. I need you back. Her plea hit me like a punch. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for her, but anger bubbled up too. Did she really mean it, or was she just scared? I could hear the chaos surrounding her, and it made my head spin. I thought about all the nights I spent alone, trying to move on. Could I trust her again? My heart ached for the girl I once loved. But the fear of getting hurt again was like a shadow. This was a dangerous game, and I was about to jump right back in. Why should I help you? I shot back, trying to keep my voice steady. You chose him. I know, she said quickly. But I thought I was making the right choice. I was wrong. When Jason offered an alliance, I couldn't believe my ears. He stood there, eyes glinting like knives, offering a deal that felt like a trap. We both want the same thing, he said, his voice icy. My heart beat. Did he think I'd join forces with the guy who wrecked my dreams? The partnership was a messy puzzle. Jason seemed desperate, and I could feel his weakness like a storm rising. But could I really trust him? He'd wronged Samantha, twisting his money to control her. I remembered the rumors about his kingdom crumbling, the tangled lies he spun. Was he after payback against her, or was I just another piece in his game? Anger surged inside me. This wasn't just about saving Samantha, it was about facing someone who thrived on betrayal. I was treading carefully. If I took his offer, I might lose everything: my values, my fight. You think I'll just follow you? I shot back, hands clenched. His grin was infuriating. I know what I'm doing, he answered, his eyes narrowing. You want to save her, don't you? I'd never trust you, I snapped, feeling the weight of my words. But the truth was, I was torn. Could I help Samantha without becoming like him? The stakes were high, and I could feel the anxiety crackling in the air. Join me or lose her, Jason warned, his voice low and dangerous. I breathed sharply. Did he really think he could scare me? I could almost taste the evil in his offer, and it left a bitter aftertaste. In that moment, I knew I had to decide. Stand up to him or risk everything I believed in. Though Jason's offer attracted me, I knew I'd to turn away. His words were like candy, sweet and enticing, offering revenge on Samantha for her betrayal. But deep down, I felt it was a trick. I couldn't let retaliation drag me down into darkness. I'd to think about my own worth and what I truly wanted. This isn't who I am, I said, shaking my head. I don't want to hurt anyone. Jason frowned, anger flashing in his eyes. You don't want to get back at her. You're just going to let it go. I want to move on, I answered firmly. Not get stuck in this mess. I took a breath, feeling the weight of their chaos around me. I needed to set limits. I couldn't let Jason's anger or Samantha's betrayal consume me. I wanted to love honestly, but I couldn't do that if I was tangled in revenge plans. As I walked away, I felt clearer. I didn't want power or control, I wanted peace. I wanted to grow, not be a tool in their games. Anger bubbled inside me, but I knew it wouldn't help. Instead of plotting revenge, I worked on understanding my feelings and finding calm. Why are you doing this? Jason shouted after me, frustration dripping from his voice. Because I deserve better. I yelled back, standing tall. I'm done with your toxic games. As the days went by, the lies piled up and I felt lost. Samantha had left Jason, but it didn't feel like she was free. Her words said one thing, but her eyes told a different story. I could tell she was still tangled in her past, and it scared me. Every time we were together, it felt like a game. One moment, she was the woman I loved, and the next, she was a ghost, trapped by her own choices. I need you back, she said. But I couldn't help but wonder if I was just a way to escape the mess she made. Was I just a safe place for her to land? I felt angry and deceived. Why did she choose money over love? Now that her world fell apart, she came running back to me. I stood there, stuck between wanting to help her and needing to protect myself. Each moment was heavy with questions, and I knew I'd to decide what to do. Do you even care about us? I blurted out one day, anger bubbling over. She looked taken aback, her eyes wide. Of course I do, she answered, but I noticed a flicker of doubt in her voice. I wanted to believe her, but deep down, I wondered if I was just another part in her game. The tension between us was thick, like a storm building. Every time she smiled, it felt like a mask hiding the truth. I needed answers, but all I got were more lies and confusion. Why are you here? I pushed, my heart racing. Is it really love? Or just a way to escape? Her silence spoke volumes. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on the edge of a cliff. ready to jump into the unknown, but scared of what lay beneath. Each choice felt like a risk, and I was tired of playing with my heart. The air between us was thick with stress. Samantha and I sat in silence, each of us stuck in our own thoughts. I could feel the weight of our difficult relationship pressing down on us. She'd picked Jason, and now we were tangled in a messy love triangle. I wanted to reach out, but trust problems loomed like a dark shadow. Why did you even choose him? I shot out, my voice tight. Samantha's eyes widened. You don't understand. It wasn't just about you. Sure it wasn't. I snapped back, anger coming to the surface. You broke my heart when you left. She looked away, a mix of sorrow and desperation on her face. I thought I was doing what was best for me. Best for you? Or best for you and Jason? I pressed, feeling the power fight between us. The strain grew, each word like a punch. You can't just play with people's feelings, I said. My heart racing. I wanted to help you heal. But can I even trust you again? Samantha leaned in, her voice low. I'm trying to figure myself out. Can't you see that? Figure yourself out? At my expense? I shot back, anger boiling over. Do you even care how this makes me feel? The quiet that followed was loud. I could almost hear the walls closing in around us. What do we do now? I asked, my heart racing. I don't know, she admitted, her voice shaking. But I can't keep lying to myself. Then stop lying to me. I shouted, feeling the stakes rise higher. We were standing on the edge of something that could change everything. And the question hung over us like a storm. While I sat there, my heart beat like a drum. Samantha had misled me, and it felt like a punch to the gut. She'd promised to stand by me. But when Jason showed his money, she turned away from us. The hurt cut deep. I thought our love was real, but now it felt like a bad dream. Samantha's apologies repeated in my ears, but could I really forgive her? Trust seemed impossible to rebuild. I wanted to help her after Jason's fall, but doubts swirled in my thoughts. Did she only come back because he messed up? The gold she once chased now felt like heavy chains pulling us down. As we stumbled through this mess, commitment tests came at us like arrows. Each moment together was a step toward acceptance, but the pain was still there. I had to decide if it was worth the chance to reconnect. Could I let go of my anger and open my heart again? Healing took time, and I was frightened. What if I got hurt again? But a tiny part of me hoped we could find our way back. I knew it wouldn't be easy. The path ahead was dark and twisted, filled with memories of betrayal. But I also felt a light waiting for us. If we could just reach for it. Why did you do it, Sam? I snapped, my voice sharp. I was scared. She answered, tears in her eyes. I thought I could have it all with Jason. Now look where you are, I shot back. You think I can just forget? I want to make it right, she begged. I want us back. Even though I wanted to believe Samantha. The weight of her betrayal felt like a huge stone in my chest. She sat across from me, tears streaming down her face, asking for another chance. Please, she cried, her voice shaking. But how could I trust her again? She'd picked Jason, a man who'd fallen from grace, leaving her alone and broken. Anger bubbled inside me, mixed with sadness. The sadness was real, and I could see it written all over her face. I messed up, Samantha said, her voice barely a whisper. I realized that now. But could I accept her words? I wanted to help her, but my heart was still raw. She looked so fragile, like a flower dying in the sun. I wanted to reach out, but every word felt like a knife, reminding me of her deception. As she spoke, my own hurt clawed at me. I wanted to shout, to tell her how deeply she'd cut me. Instead, I just sat there, the silence around us heavy and thick. I knew healing would take time. But could I start while she was sitting right in front of me? It felt impossible. I had to be careful. Love shouldn't feel like a game, yet here we were, stuck in a cycle of hope and pain. I want to believe you, I finally said, my voice steady but stressed. But trust is broken. It's not easy to fix. Samantha nodded, fresh tears spilling down her face. I understand, she said, her voice cracking. But I'll do anything to make it right. Anything? I challenged, anger rising in my chest. You knew what you were doing when you chose him. I was foolish. She slammed her hands on the table, frustration boiling over. Can't you see how much I regret it? I took a deep breath, my heart racing. Regret isn't enough. You have to prove it. Forgiveness felt impossible, and my anger turned into a fiery need for payback. Samantha had betrayed me, picking Jason over me because of her greedy heart. Now that her life was falling apart, I saw a chance to turn the tables. I brainstormed ways to get back at her. Should I expose her lies? Maybe I should show her what she threw away. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about her. I needed to heal from the hurt she caused. Determined, I set my limits. I wasn't going to be her backup plan anymore. I thought about calling Jason, but that would only make things messier. Instead, I worked on rebuilding trust. I understood that revenge wouldn't fix my heart, it would only hurt me more. I felt the urge to strike back, but I knew I'd to rise above it. I could either wallow in anger or choose to grow. Revenge might give a quick thrill, but real power came from moving on and letting go. As the sun set on my thoughts, I whispered to myself, I won't be defined by this pain. I sat alone, my heart racing. Samantha was back, and I didn't know what to feel. Betrayed? Yes. Hurt? Definitely. But there was also a part of me that wanted to help her. She'd chosen money over love, and now she was here, looking small and scared. How could I trust her again? Please, I need you, she said, her voice shaky. I remembered all the good times, the laughter, the late-night talks. But those memories felt heavy now, shadowed by her choice to marry Jason. You hurt me, Samantha, I shot back. How do I know this isn't just another game? She looked down, her eyes sparkling. I messed up. I thought I wanted that life, but I was wrong. Wrong. My voice was sharp. You picked him. For money. I know, she whispered, but I lost everything. I need someone who cares. Each second with her felt like walking on a wire. My anger boiled under the surface. Did she really care about me, or was I just her safety net? I wanted to scream. Why should I believe anything you say? Her desperation hit me like a punch. Because I'm here now. I'm asking you. I crossed my arms, my heart torn. This is too risky. I can't just forget what happened. Samantha stepped closer, her eyes begging. I promised to make it right. Just give me a chance. I paused. The connection between us was obvious, but doubt loomed like a storm cloud. Would I just end up hurt again? Fine, I said, my voice low. But if you break my trust again, I'm done. She smiled weakly, and for a moment, I saw hope. But in the back of my mind, shadows danced. Trusting Samantha again felt like going into a thick fog. Each step could either bring understanding or more confusion. I wanted to believe her, but the past loomed over us like a dark cloud. I had to think hard about what I really wanted. Did I want to dive back into a messy relationship, or should I stay alone? My thoughts were a confused storm. As I listened to her, I tried to find answers. I regret so much, she said, her voice shaky. I felt stuck in a life filled with lies and money. I saw the guilt in her eyes. But anger bubbled inside me. She'd picked Jason, and now that he was out of the picture, she turned to me. Was I just her backup plan? I had to face the truth. I cared for her, but she broke my trust. Every moment we spent together felt like walking on a wire. Could I ever really forgive her for the hurt she caused? I knew clarity wouldn't come easy. I had to face my feelings and the truth about us. Each talk with her was like stepping through the fog, getting closer to what was right for both of us. I was scared, but I had to deal with this head on. Why should I trust you? I shot back, irritation spilling over. Because I've changed, she begged. I want to be better. Better. You picked him over me. I snapped, my heart racing. I know, I was wrong. But now I need you. Her eyes searched mine, desperate. I felt torn, but I'd to make a choice. The fog was thick, but I needed to find my way out. I took a deep breath. I can't be your safety net, Samantha. Not anymore. I felt the deception hit me like a punch in the gut. Samantha had broken my trust, and there she was, standing in front of me, asking for another chance. My heart raced with anger. How could you do this to me? I shouted, my voice shaking. I'm sorry. I made a mistake, she cried, her eyes wide with sorrow. But the hurt cut deep. She'd picked money over love, and it felt like a knife twisting in my heart. I knew I'd a choice to make, though. Holding on to the anger would only trap me. You think saying sorry fixes everything? I snapped. She looked down, shame washing over her, but I could see the pain behind her eyes. She was human, and people mess up. Please, just give me a chance to make it right, she begged. Reaching for my hand, I pulled away, feeling the weight of my choice. Forgiving her felt impossible, but maybe forgiveness wasn't about her at all. It was about me. I didn't want to be shackled by anger anymore. Every time I think about what you did, I feel the fire of anger, I said, trying to control my voice. But I want to find peace. She looked desperate, tears spilling down her face. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I could have both. But I was wrong. I took a deep breath, wrestling with my feelings. You picked greed over love. How can I trust you again? I'll do anything to earn your trust back, she promised, her voice a shaky whisper. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to let go of the anger and find happiness again. It's going to take time, I warned, looking into her eyes. And it won't be easy. Just let me try, she begged. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of my choice. This was my way to healing, not just for her, but for me. I'd to regain my happiness, even if it meant facing the darkness of betrayal first. Okay, I said finally. Let's see if you can prove me wrong. As we stood at the edge of repairing our relationship, I felt a mix of hope and fear. Samantha's tears mirrored her hurt, and I could hear the desperation in her words. This wasn't just about reigniting old feelings. It was about navigating a tough healing process. I wanted to believe we could move forward together, but questions loomed like storm clouds. Every moment felt electric with unsaid words. I worried that her past deception would follow us, making trust hard to find. Yet, she showed me flashes of honesty, sharing her dreams for the future. I want to build something real, she said, her eyes searching mine. I wanted that too, but could we really escape the shadows of our past? We began taking tiny steps, like sharing our hopes and fears. She told me how sorry she was for the mistakes she made. I felt a flicker of hope inside me, but I stayed careful. I didn't want to dive into a romance that could fall apart again. Each talk felt like walking a wire, balancing hope and fear. As we moved forward, I knew recovery would take time. It wouldn't happen overnight. But if we faced our past together, maybe we could build a future filled with love and trust. The road ahead was unknown, but I was ready to fight for us. Let's make this work, I said strongly. She nodded, resolve shining through her tears. But just when I thought we were making progress, a twist hit us hard. I found out she'd been hiding more secrets, things that made me question everything. The deception cut deep, and my heart raced with anger and confusion. Why didn't you tell me? I ordered, feeling the weight of her lies. I was scared, she whispered, eyes wide with sorrow. I thought I could protect you. As I think back on everything that happened, I see that love isn't just about the thrill. It's also about trust and honesty. This wild ride taught me important lessons. I found a strength inside me. I faced betrayal and pain, but I stood strong, refusing to let it break me. Rebuilding trust became a must as I worked through my feelings for Samantha. Doubting every moment we had. I learned to set limits in relationships. I had to ask myself what I really wanted. Was it love? Or just the idea of love? I also changed how I viewed wealth. I saw how quickly people twist feelings when they've power. It helped me spot trickery and see through the masks people wear. Forgiveness was tough. I struggled with anger and sadness, but I knew holding on to those feelings wouldn't help me grow. I worked on becoming better not just for me, but for the relationships that lay ahead. In the end, I learned that love is more than just a spark. It needs faith, respect, and, most importantly, honesty. While I felt hopeless at times, I also found strength in being open about my pain. Rebuilding my life after the chaos with Samantha was tough. I'd to face a hard truth: money doesn't buy happiness. It can even bring pain. Watching Samantha run after Jason's wealth opened my eyes. She traded love for fancy things, and when everything fell apart, her dream turned into a nightmare. In the middle of all this mess, I felt a mix of anger and sadness. It hurt to see someone I cared about suffer, even if she brought it on herself by choosing money over real love. I had to tell myself that a person's worth isn't about their bank account. True treasure is found in faith, loyalty, and real connections. As I dealt with this crazy ride, I saw how wealth could change people. It can blind them to what really counts. When Samantha asked for my help, I saw her fear. But I couldn't forget the hurt she caused. I'd to guard my heart. In the end, I learned that wealth might seem strong, but it comes with traps. Real strength is about rising above greed and respecting honest relationships. I chose to build a life full of love and trust, leaving behind the toxic pull of wealth that had once caught us both. Why did you choose him? I asked Samantha, my voice steady. Because he'd everything. She shot back, her eyes sparkling with tears. And look where that got you, I answered, feeling a mix of pity and anger. I walked away, leaving her in her world of glitter and lies. After everything that happened with Samantha, I knew I'd to heal. I felt like I was in a maze, lost, hurt and confused. It was time to find my way out. I started my healing journey, and it wasn't easy, but I found something powerful inside me. Moving on wasn't just about forgetting. It was about finding peace. I began to focus on myself. I grabbed a journal and started writing. What did I really want? It helped me sort through the anger and betrayal I felt towards Samantha. Forgiveness? That was hard. I'd to let go of the pain she caused if I wanted to be free. As I worked through my feelings, I learned I needed to be emotionally independent. I couldn't count on someone else to make me happy. Trust was a big deal. I needed to trust myself again, not just Samantha. I could love again, but I'd to guard my heart. Every step forward brought me closer to health. I found joy in my friends and new adventures that reminded me of my worth. But healing isn't a straight line. Some days were good, others were bad. I pushed through, knowing my well-being came first. I came out stronger and more aware of what I needed. In the end, I learned that real healing means accepting the past and facing the future, even when it's scary. Hey, are you okay? My friend asked one day, noticing my faraway look. I'm getting there, I answered, determination. I won't let her break me anymore. And just like that, I took another step forward. I felt something change inside me when I thought about starting over. The past was like a heavy backpack pulling me down. I'd to let it go. New starts were out there, and I was done with the pain and betrayal. I wanted my life back. Then Samantha called. She sounded desperate, like she needed me. As I listened to her story, hope sparked in my chest. This may be my chance to build something real again. I realized fresh starts were for both of us. I could change my life, step away from the mess we used to have. Every time we talked, I could feel walls coming down. We faced the truth about everything that happened. I told her how angry and unhappy I was. But I also felt for her. She'd been trapped in a world where money meant more than love. And I finally got it. Days turned into weeks. And we started to connect in a new way. We were honest and open. I made it clear I wouldn't be a backup plan. This was my chance for a new beginning. And I wanted her to join me. But only if she was ready to leave the past behind. I took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. Fresh starts could be scary, but they also offered something amazing. I was determined to make it work.